Actually, I did a lot of promo shots of the keyboard today and it broke. It broke completely off. This shouldn't be as easy to break. Hi everyone, my name is Arevya and I'm a disabled and chronically ill content creator, and today we are going to review the Dygma Raise Silver and White to see if it helps if you have chronic hand pain. For you who might be new here and not knowing, I have two diagnostics that affects my hand. The first one is a mild case of cerebral palsy, aka a small brain injury I got at birth due to lack of oxygen. And as I've grown older, I've also gotten what I like to call old lady illness, aka arthritis. All in all, this means that the last couple of years I have been experienced that playing my favorite game is taking a toll on my body, and I'm on a mission to try anything that can help me game as much as I can, starting with requiring a split keyboard. And my mission starts a late winter night in January, and due to the general cold weather of the season, I had problem even starting gaming after a long day at work. And even holding up my controller made my wrist tired and hurt. So I did the one and only thing any sane person would do in that case. I complained to Twitter. Or X, or whatever it's called this week. I wrote out this tweet and I got a lot of people recommending me to check out the split keyboard, or more specifically, checking out the keyboard from Dygma. So I looked it up and realistically the keyboard was sadly way above my budget, so I did the second most normal thing any sane person would do in this case. I made an Instagram story about it. I posted a little Dygma, you wouldn't want to work with me, hint hint hehe. And lo and behold, they actually said yes. So after mailing them a bit back and forth, I received this beauty, the Dygma Raise. But before we start the proper review of the keyboard, let's first and foremost be fully transparent as we always should be. I got this keyboard sent to me for free to test and review to see if it will help my hand pain. But I am completely free to say whatever I want. And with that out of the way, let's start. I present to you all the Dygma Raise in silver and white with a tenting kit. This absolute beauty of a keyboard is what we call a 60% keyboard with a key plate of aluminium and LED lights on the side, underneath and under each key. You connect it to your computer by USB and it doesn't weigh more than 895 grams without the tenting kit. Its dimension is 20.17 centimeters times 33.11 centimeters times 33.6 centimeters. And it's compatible with Windows, Mac OS, iOS, Linux and Android. It comes in this luxurious travel case that includes a bunch of different things. First and foremost, a neuron that connects everything together. This is the brain of the keyboard where you find both the microprocessor and the memory. All the cables you need to connect it to your device. And also an enchantment kit, which is this little set that includes a keycap and switcher puller, 140 O-rings, 8 test switches, microfiber cloth and this little brush for cleaning. And this bad boy, the Dygma Raise, has to be one of the most luxurious and sturdy keyboards I have ever seen. Every part of this screams personal and comfortable and gives you a feeling of being something extra without tipping over to the land of pretentious. So let's take a look at the first step we all have to go through to get this keyboard, the ordering process, which is where the keyboard shows you it can be whatever you want in almost any way you want. The aluminium part of the keyboard itself comes in 6 different colors, and the keypads and the palm pads comes in either black or white. And you might also have noticed that I have something on my keyboard that is not so common to see when ordering keyboards online, and that is key layout that caters to non-English speaking customers. And this was for me a big surprise, that I can actually get the Nordic keyboard layout. Because if you are from any non-English speaking country that has specialized letters in your language, you know the absolute pain it is to find a keyboard that matches your aesthetic and is usable with your language. Normally when I order keyboards online, I have to just settle for an English layout and memorize either the code for the letters I should use or where they're supposed to be on a keyboard that had a Norwegian layout. The Dygma Raise let you choose between English UK, English US, Dash, Spanish, German, French and Nordic. Long live the AO. Continuing with the key and ordering process, the webpage itself is quite easy to order from, as you select from this quite straightforward list. And when it comes to the more technical things like the key switches, Dygma has an easy to understand post on what you're looking for. Because honestly, I did not know before getting this keyboard that what you have underneath the keycaps has so much to say, but oh boy, does it. Just listen to this. I ended up getting the Kale Silent Pink keys as they were said to be quite soundless when it comes to typing and easy to press down on. And this is something the keys have lived up to. It's easy to press down, but not to the degree that just holding my hands on the keyboard would make me write something out. And this is the first point Dygma Raise get when it comes to minimizing hand pain. Whenever I have a bad pain day, every extra movement and use of my strength will make my arms hurt more. And I can definitely feel the difference between this keyboard and say my work keyboard when it comes to the amount of pressure I need to use to press down the key. Also, I can, or rather other people can, hear the difference between my old keys and the Dygma ones, as the silent part is absolutely working when I'm streaming or on a Discord call. I did also give these nifty O-rings a try, since they're said to dampen the sound and shorten the total travel distance of the key. But to be honest with you, with the setup I chose, I could not feel or hear any difference at all. Which brings me to the first negative point of this review. Because with all these possibilities to make the keyboard something that feels like it can be customized to your own needs, and at the same time is quite sturdy and well made, this keyboard also has the price to match. Because this is an expensive keyboard and there is nowhere to hide it. The keyboard I choose to review from Dygma cost $454 included shipping when I order it. This is not something most of us would buy on a whim, and I think it's important to point it out. So do I think it's worth the price? Well, in some case, yes. And I will give you my honest opinion on a lot of the really good things this keyboard does and point out the bad stuff, so you can make your own opinion about it being worth it or not. But over to the keyboard itself and its absolutely coolest feature it can do, the splitting. Yeah, I did that. No surprise to anyone watching this video, the most unique feature of the Dygma Raise Silver is that it can be split in two halves, which is the reason why I wanted this keyboard in the first place. Split keyboards are said to be a more ergonomic way to type, as you can keep your arms in a better position for your body while working or gaming. And this keyboard is quite easy to pull apart and put back together, even with my weak arms. I often find that when I use a regular keyboard, it can hurt the outside of my arms and my elbows, because I need to force my elbows into my side and my hands a bit outwards to type. This is something I also can feel all the way up to my shoulders and to the wings of my back. So often after a long day at the office, I struggle with pain going from my arms all the way up and down my back, even though all I have done is to sit and write at the keyboard. But with a split keyboard, this isn't as big of a problem anymore. With Dygma Raise, I'm able to have the two halves in a way that feels more comfortable and natural position for my arms to be in while I write. In other words, the amount of pain I have after a long day of writing and gaming is reduced by a lot. And for somebody it might sound a bit weird that such a small change as splitting a keyboard will have such an effect. But for me that has chronic pain with whatever I do, small changes like this do have a big effect on my overall pain. It's all about small things that pile up during the day, and in the end, if I have the tolerance to continue working or gaming with the pain I'm experiencing. So reducing pain when I work will do so that I have energy to do fun things in the afternoon, like gaming. And the ability to split the keyboard also have a positive side for me when it comes to gaming. I normally game with a controller, but when the game does not support that, I do a weird thing where I turn my keyboard sideways to accommodate for my shoulders so I can lean my arm on the desk. But this does make it a bit awkward to write while I'm gaming, but with the split this is no longer any problem and I can game in a more comfortable manner. But with all these positive notes, we should also talk about the negative side of the split. Because there is a reason why this keyboard has taken me so long to review, and that is because of the learning curve. Because this keyboard is not what you would call a plug and play keyboard, as it will take you time to learn how to use it and the learning curve can be steep. In the start, just small changes from how far away you have the half from each other, where on the desk you place each half, and all the way to how you use the layers of the software and the 7 new keys you have available for your thumb, all combine into making your brain feel like mush after trying it for the first time. When I got this keyboard and we had the unpacking stream, I did confidently say that I thought it would only take me 1 month to do this review. Well, let's just say that that was one big lie. Again, learning curve. I have been writing on a computer for as long as I can remember, and to unlearn all of that to comply to a new way of typing has taken time. So keep that in mind when you get this keyboard, that you will write slow in the start, and you should give yourself some weeks, or in my case, months, until you are up to the speed you're used to typing. And by the way, when I talked to some people from Dygma, they also said that they took them some months to learn how to use their whole new setup, so that did make me feel a bit better. And in talking about learning curve, we also have to take a look at one of the most amazing things that make the whole learning curve worth it, and that is the 8-split spacebar. As you can see, the spacebar is split, giving you 7 more options than a regular keyboard, and all of them can be programmed to do whatever you want. For me, that means that I have my most used key always by my thumb, making me a more efficient writer now than I used to be. Shocking, I know, after how much I struggle actually learning how to use this keyboard. I have to say that this is my new favorite keyboard, as not only is the split better for my pain, but I also love the fact that I can have something in between the 2 halves of the keyboard while typing, which is such a big luxury when doing big projects. For some reason, I still need to do notes when I work, so giving me the possibility to have either a notebook or a pad in between my keyboard, wow! And it also gives me the possibility to have things like my phone, a cup of coffee, tea, or may I dare to say food in between my keyboard. Because yes, I am a filthy desk eater, and I won't do anything about it, because when I am thigh-high deep into my 3rd day of straight editing, you bet your cute behind that I'm going to munch whatever it takes to keep me going over my keyboard. But it is a perfect way for me to test how easy it is to clean this keyboard, because when I pay so much for something, I will expect that this is something that I can keep for years to come, and it will be made so that is possible. The keys itself are really easy to remove, as they pop quite easy off with this tool I got in my enchantment kit. The only bad thing I have to say here is that when I took off the 2 of the 4 small spacebar keys, they broke. I'm quite careful when doing things like this. I used a tool provided from Dygma, and I read up on how to remove them. In other words, there were no Hulk smash happening when they broke. So for this to happen to the 2 out of the 4 small keys are not a win for Dygma. Luckily, it seems like they're still working fine, and I can't see that it has any long-lasting problems so far. But I presume that if it breaks off the last part next time I'm cleaning it, the button will be completely broken, and that is not something I expected from something that is this expensive. It broke. It broke completely off. Hey, hi, editing Arevya here. I was doing some B-roll filming yesterday when the key finally broke completely off. It's completely broken. Right now I'm just holding it onto the keyboard with some tape, and I have to say I am disappointed. I did see though that you have 2 years warranty on your keyboard, so I will send them a mail tonight, but it is the weekend, so I don't think I will hear anything from them before like the week starts again. Sadly, from recording this and editing this to you seeing it, I'm actually on holiday, so I can't put in some video response to say if I got an update or not. But I will put it down in the description what I got, if I got an update and if I got it replaced or not. So I will let you guys know. Back to the video. The cleaning itself was easy. When all the keys were removed, it was just to remove the crumbs and the dust, and most of them flew away with some air on the box. Though Luna Fur was a bit more stubborn, but that is what you get when you live with the void. When I first showed this keyboard on stream, I got some comments saying that I would never get a white keyboard with white pads. And it makes sense. Things that you use on a daily basis over years will affect by you just existing, writing and using the keyboard. Sweat, drink, food, you name it, it can make the pads look bad and stained after a short amount of time. Which was why it was important that they could withstand being washed, and they did. Easy to remove, wash with cold water and place them back on. Even if you experience that the sticky part gets less sticky. Dygma says that you can just wash them with cold water and they will be good as new. I hadn't experienced the pads losing their stickiness yet, but I did give them a thorough wash and they stuck back on the aluminium plate good as new. In other words, this is not just a pretty keyboard that you can split, it's also a keyboard that's made to be sturdy and easy to keep. This means that it's a keyboard that you can have for a long time to come, which is important to point out when we talk about earlier when it comes to price. When everything is made to last, the investment that this keyboard is might feel more worth it. But with such a fancy keyboard, we also need a really cool software, and Dygma did not disappoint us here. Introducing to you BaseCore, Dygma's own program to make your keyboard even more customized. And with that comes also the second best feature of this keyboard, layers. Because since this is a 60% keyboard, many of you might have a concern with missing like the F keys, things like number pad, arrow keys and delete button, but here's where all the layers comes into play. Because what Dygma does that just blew my mind is the fact that you can have up to 10 different layers, aka 10 different setups of the keys on your keyboard. This means that you can program every single button on this keyboard to do whatever you want 10 times. So if I press my lower left thumb button twice, I will get up a whole new setup where there is arrow keys, there is F keys, and this is a number pad and so on. Think about the possibilities. Games doesn't have key rebinding? No problem. You make a new layer that gives you the possibility to use the keys wherever you want. This also takes away the problem with split keyboards, where typically the map and inventory button normally being on your right keyboard half. But if you only want to use the left half, just make a new game-specific layer and put M and I on one of the thumb keys. Easy fix. But not only does this program give you different layers, but it also gives you possibility to use macro keys and super key editor. Dygma says this: macro is a sequence of events such as keystroke, mouse clicks and delays can be played back to help with repetitive strings of text or tasks. When I did our outpacking stream, we made a cute macro that automatically writes out puppy whenever I press a button. And that was sort of where my creativity ended with using the macros. I myself haven't found any use for them in my everyday life, but if you work in coding or writing, I see a potential for this. Or maybe I just need to be more creative than what I am. But what I do know is that I know that this is a big win for accessibility. Say you struggle with button mashing in a game, no problem. Just make a macro that taps a button 20 times after each other and put it on one of your thumb keys. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And since I am Arevya, the access queen, this is a huge win in my eyes. The thing I have used a lot is the super key editor. In here you can make every single key do 5 different actions depending if you tap, hold, tap and hold, tap 2 times, or tap 2 times and hold. This together with the macros open the door for what is possible with this keyboard to a whole new level that I could never imagine. Again, here is just your creativity that stops you. The software is also where you control the LED lights on your keyboard, and this is where you make everything pretty and beautiful with all the colors you can imagine. But again, this wouldn't be a good review without talking about the negative sides. The drawback here is that the software is still in development. Things like PDF download is still in development and has been since I received the keyboard. Which is sad because this is sort of like a cheat sheet for your layers, and I feel like it's quite needed because learning curve. As we talked about earlier, that this is not a plug and play keyboard, and when you put in the layers into the mix, it takes time to learn. The program itself is also not so easy to understand, nor is it intuitive what you are supposed to press first or last to make everything work. And again, it took me some time to learn how to use. Dygma do have a bunch of how-to on both their webpage and their YouTube, but I wish it was just something integrated in the program, because I really don't want to start digging around online to figure out how to use the software. The last part of my review is to look at the tenting kit. This is a separate part that provides multiple angles to Dygma Raise that is supposed to reduce hand problems by putting your forearms in a more natural angle. That be 10, 20, 30 or 40 degrees. It's sturdy and lightweight, and I kid you not, the biggest tent is so huge it looked like you could fit a guinea pig underneath it. You assemble it to your existing Dygma Raise by removing the screws underneath, add your tenting kit and re-screw it back in with the longer screws provided in the kit. I was a bit scared to assemble it all, but it was actually quite easy to do. But if you have problem with your fine motor skills, I could see this being a challenge. I did relay this concern to the Dygma team when I spoke to them, and they said that if anyone was afraid that could not do it themselves, to let them know and they could pre-install it for you. Sweet. And here is where I have to be frank with you all. Even though it's said to be a really good thing for everyone that experience hand problems, I actually ended up not using it. Yeah, I know, but it's not for the lack of trying. I have already said that this keyboard has a steep learning curve compared to your everyday run-of-the-mill keyboard, and I absolutely did give it a proper college try. I tried for weeks to adapt to the tilted method of writing, and even after mastering it when I could write in a comfortable speed, and it took some time, it just wasn't for me. I even put it back up while writing this part of the review just to make sure I still stand with what I feel then. And I do. For me and my problems, it just doesn't help in any way. This might be because my arms in general are weaker than spaghetti, so actually holding them up for a long period of the time make me in general more tired in my arm and shoulders because I use more energy. This in turn make my pain worse, and whatever positive experience I get from the tilt is lost in the energy I have to use to keep my arms up and not rested on the wrist pad. But can I see the use of this? Yes, I think that for some people it will be more comfortable to use it this way, as it almost mimics holding a controller in how your arms get rotated to a more comfortable and what I would call natural position. For my spaghetti noodles, on the other hand, they just didn't feel right. I never found a comfortable way of leaning my arms on the desk while using it, which all in all would not help the pain level I experience in my arthritis. So I kept it down for most parts, so there is no space for any guinea pig under my keyboard, sadly. That being said though, I do wish the tenting kit was designed in a way where you could just snap it on and off instead of screwing it. It's a bit annoying that I need to get out everything again to change it back to a non-tenting kit. But hey, the keyboard's still comfortable to use even when the tents are all the way down. So all in all, how does split keyboard help with the pain I experience when I work and game? And the easy answer here is yes. The amount of pain I have after a long day of writing and gaming is reduced by a lot. I do think my favorite for gaming will always be the controller, but that is just not realistic in some games. Plus my computer is for so much more than just gaming. From writing scripts, blog posts, editing, you name it, I sit glued to this screen at least 4 to 8 hours a day, so to lessen the impact it has on my hands is important for me. Have it taken away all my problems with my arms? No, and I never expected it to do so, as my condition is chronically, so nothing I do will ever make my arms not hurt at all. This was just in a hope that it can lessen the pain of the strain of using my arms. But there is no way to end this review without again acknowledging the price. Being disabled will often mean that you have less income, and this keyboard is expensive, there is no question about that. Which is why I can't just say, run out and buy it! Because in this economy, that is just not realistic. But what I can say is this. Would I get this keyboard if it was not sent to me knowing what I know today? And the answer is still yes, with a cute little star at the end. And here is where future Arevya comes in again. Originally, I said in this clip that I think the keyboard is too expensive to buy on a whim, but I would save up to get it. And I am still standing with that decision, even though I have the breakage. And that is because the pain relief this keyboard gives me is worth it in the long run, but this is something Dygma absolutely need to fix. Like, this is something they need to fix and upgrade, and I hope they do so. I do not know though if the tenting kit is worth it if you, as me, struggle with more pain if you need to constantly hold your hands up. But if that is not a problem, I think it can absolutely help. And that was all I had for today. Do you think you would enjoy the keyboard? Do you have any idea what I could do with the macros and super keys? Let me know in a comment, and remember to hit that subscribe button while you're at it. So wherever you are around the globe, may you have a good night when that time comes. Bye!